Hey folks, welcome back. Okay, we are already to the final pause and practice for Excel Chapter 3. And I'm going to jump right into step number 2. Just make sure you have your file from Excel 3-2 because you'll need that file in order to finish up Excel 3-3. So step number 2, we're going to create a pie chart to display total revenue here. And it asks us to go to our P&L sheet tab, and we're going to select cells A4 to A9 as our category. And then we're going to hold our control key and we're going to select cells E4 through E9 for our data series. Next, we're going to insert a pie or donut chart. And so you can find this on your insert tab. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can hover over until you find the chart you're looking for. You can also go to recommended charts and then go to all charts. But for this one, I'm just going to click on the little arrow next to insert pie or donut chart. And it gives us some options. And our instructions tell us we need a 3D pie chart. So we're going to choose that. And then we have our pie chart there. Next, we're going to do our Move Chart button, which is under our Chart Design tab. And then it's all the way over to the right. This is going to open up that little dialog box that allows us to put our pie chart into its own sheet because we wouldn't want it right here on top of our data. So we're going to move that into a new sheet. And so just like we did before, we'll click New Sheet, and we're going to title this new sheet Pie Chart. Super original. Okay, once we've typed pie chart, we're just going to click OK, and then it drops our chart into its own sheet. Now, our next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of formatting on this pie chart because right now it doesn't really tell us a lot, and there's some super tiny font down at the bottom. So we're going to make some adjustments here. Our pie chart is already selected. We're going to click the total text box. So we're going to click that to select it. And then we're going to go to our formula bar and we're going to type in rental revenue. And then we're going to press the Alt key, ALT, and the Enter key. So that drops us down to a second row of text. And we're going to type June through August. And then we're going to press enter. And so that puts our information into our chart as a chart title. Next, it asks us to click and drag to select the first line of our title. So you're just going to hover your mouse in and select that as you would in any other document. We're going to resize this to 24. So let me do that. 24. And then our next set of text, it asks us to change that font to size 18. So I'm going to hover over that, select it, and then change it to 18. You can also, if you don't want to use the mini taskbar, you can always do those changes in your home tab, just as an alternative. All right, next we're going to click the chart border to deselect the title. And so we have added our title. Next, we're going to, on step number 4, explode a slice of our pie chart and format the legend. Explode in a pie chart just means that you're pulling it out from the rest of the chart or you're making a visual separation for that. So we're going to double click the pie chart. And what that's going to do is that's going to open up our format data point bar over to the right side. So we saw this a little bit earlier, but we're going to do some different things with it now. We need to click our series options, which is this bar or this button that looks like a little bar graph in it. So when we click that, it gives us some options. And what our instructions tell us to do is select the Indiana slice of the pie. So that's this orange one. Choose our explosion point to 10%. So you can see as I was dragging this number up or down, it changes the explosion point of our pie chart. So we're going to have it at 10%, and then we're going to close our task pane here. Next, we're going to select the legend at the bottom of our screen, which is that super tiny set of writing. And we're going to go to our home tab and we're just going to increase that to size 14 font. And so that makes it a little bit easier to see. If I were doing this in the real world, I might even go bigger than that size 14 font. All right, so that wraps us up with our pie chart. We did a nice job formatting, making that a little more visually appealing. Next, we're going to create in step number 5 a map chart. And so this is going to illustrate our rental income or our rental revenue by location. Now, there is a note in your book, you've got to be hooked up to internet in order for this to work because we're going to pull some data out from the internet. So let's go to our profit and loss tab, and we're going to select cells A4 to A9 and then E4 to E9. So we've been doing this quite a bit. We've been working with this data before. Once we've got those pieces of data selected, we're going to click the recommended charts button, which is again on our insert tab, and recommended charts is right in the middle at the top. And we're going to click through until we find the filled map, which is this version here. So we're going to press OK, and that's going to put that chart as a chart object right on top of our data. But we know we're probably going to make some moves for this, right? We don't want it to be hovering over our data. So we're going to select that chart object and we're going to move our pointer so that its top left section handle is at cell K1. So again, your pointer handle is the little four, it's kind of like a crosshairs, but it has 4 arrows at each of the points. That allows us, when we do our left click on our mouse, it allows us to move that chart object. And so my instructions tell me to put that chart object at K1. I'm going to get that as close as we can. Oops, it didn't stick. Okay, let's try again. There we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, one more time. K1. Okay, you may also have to try a couple of times before it sticks for you. So once we have that, the top left section is at cell K1, which we are. Then we're going to point the bottom right selection handle and resize until we get to V18. So I'm just going to move my screen over a little bit so that I can see the V column. So we're going to scoot it over to letter V. Whoa, not too far. And then we're going to go down to number 18. Perfect. I'll do a little double check there, and it expands it out for us. Next, we're going to format that map chart object. So we're going to confirm that the object is selected, which it is. We're going to click our chart elements drop-down list. So that's under our format tab and over to our current selections group. So we're going to do our chart area. We're going to select series total to select our data series. So down here to the very bottom in that drop down is our series total. And then we're going to click the format selection button from our format tab and current selection. So it's right here over to the left. And we're going to click this series options button in the format data series pane. So again, we'll use this series option, and we're going to click the map area drop-down list and select only regions with data. So this map area, right now we've got the whole US in our map, but we want only regions with data to be selected. And you can see it jumped our map to kind of zoom in to the area that has data. Then we're going to expand the series color group in our task pane. And once we click that little arrow, it will drop down our information and let us make some choices. So letter G under number 6 says we're going to click our fill color arrow for the minimum setting. So we'll do fill color minimum setting, and we'll do lowest value there. Then we're going to choose gold accent for lighter 80%. So that is going to be 80%. Oh, that's the top one. And then we're going to do the fill color arrow for the maximum setting. Okay, and that one is going to be gold accent, darker 50%. And I think that's this one here. Perfect. There we go. And then we're going to close our Format Data Series task pane. So we'll close that up. And then we'll click the Chart Elements Quick button and select the Data Labels box. Perfect. Next, we're going to format our chart title and our chart area. So I'm going to scoot us over just a little bit. And we're going to click that chart title placeholder box, which is just where it says chart title there. We're going to edit the title to display rental revenue June through August. So let's type that in. You can type it into your formula bar, or you can type it directly over chart title. Okay, and once you've got that typed up, our next step says we're going to click our chart border to select the chart area. So I'm just going to click on that border, and you can verify that. Step D asks you to verify that selection. So over on your Format tab at the top left of your screen, the drop-down should say Chart Area. So this is just a visual check there. Next, we're going to click the Shape Outline. And so that's in your Shape Styles on your Formats tab. And the instructions tell us we want to do black text 1 as our outline of this chart object that we've just created. And then in step F, we're going to click the Shape Fill arrow, which is under our Format and then our Shape Fill. So we're going to click that. And we would like in this area a light gray background too. So it's the third column, the first row. I think it's this one. There we go. And then we're going to select cell A1. You can do this in your name box. That will just take you back to your home part of your home of your worksheet. So cell A1. Then we'll be ready. We're going to do a sunburst chart, so a whole nother style of chart, and we'll do that next in step number 8. So I'll pause this for just a quick second so that you can catch up if you need to. Okay, we have 2 more visuals that we're going to create for this pause and practice. And the first in step number 8 is going to be what's called a sunburst chart. And if you want to refer back to your text, the sunburst chart is described on page E3-247. So E3-247 will give you information about the sunburst chart. This is really just a hierarchy chart that you can put into your worksheet. So step number 8, letter A, says we're going to select the concierge fees sheet. Step B, I'm actually not going to do step B. So it says reduce your zoom size so that you can see rows 5 to 64. When you do that, it makes the data literally you can't even read it. It's so tiny. So I'm not doing that step. It's not a necessary step. I'm going to show you how you can do the same thing using step C, which is go into the name box, which is up at the top left of your screen. And we're going to type the range of our data to be A5 to D64. So A5 colon D like David 64 is the data that we need. We're going to press enter. That's going to automatically highlight the data for us that we need into our sunburst chart that we're about to build. Next, we're going to click on the Insert tab, and we're going to go to our Charts group, and we're going to look for the sunburst. I'm going to go this way and show you Recommended Charts, and then go to All Charts. And then in this list of all of the charts, you can see that we've got a sunburst. And this is a really cool chart that has hierarchies. So the middle part, the most closest to the center, is your top level, and then it expands out in hierarchy. So we're going to choose this chart, and then we're going to click OK. And just like before, it's going to drop that chart right onto our worksheet that we're working on. We're actually going to move this so that it can be its own sheet. So you already know how to do this. Up at the top of your change design or chart design ribbon, we're going to click Move Chart. And just like we did before, we're going to click New Sheet, and then we're going to type Sunburst. That's the type of chart that we're creating here. Oops, I didn't say that right. Sunburst. Okay, and then we'll click OK. And that takes just a moment, but then it drops it into its own chart for you. And we're going to click on the Chart Elements Quick button next. And we're going to deselect Chart Title. So we're basically taking that chart title away. And then you can click the sheet background to deselect the chart. So we've built that chart, that Sunburst chart. And in your text, I'll just remind you to refer back to that Sunburst text information in your book. It's really important if you're using a Sunburst chart that it makes sense. So you wouldn't want to do a Sunburst chart for just any set of data, but having like we did for the states and then the services at the second level and then the months of the year at that outside level, that makes sense for this set of data. So again, Sunburst chart doesn't work for everything, but it can work really nicely as a visual representation for certain sets of data. All right, we're going to go to step number 9, which is going to be our last chart that we'll build, and this is called a spark line. And the spark lines are referenced in your text on E3-252. So again, that's E3-252. So we're going to start with clicking on the last year tab, and you may have to use your arrows at the bottom of your spreadsheet to go over to find your last year tab. It's all the way to the left in your sheets. So once we've done that, we're going to select the range of B5 all the way down to M19. So I did this with my mouse. You could also just type it into your name box if you wanted to. We're going to click the column sparkline button. So this is in your insert tab, and then there's a group of spark lines. So it's not in your charts section, it's in your spark lines section. And we're going to choose the one that is a column spark line. Now, the location range, so where we want our spark line to show up, is going to be cells, and these are absolute values, N5 to N19. So I'm going to put my cursor in and select N5 all the way down to N19. And you can see when I did that, it makes them an absolute value with the $sign. So they're not going to change once I create them. We're going to click OK. And then, oh my goodness, that's so small. Nobody could ever read that, right? Well, we're going to fix that in number 10. So number 10 is where we're going to format. So we're going to click our format button, which is on our home tab, and then all the way into our cells group. We're going to click on format. And our first thing we want to change is the column width. So we're just going to click on column width. And our instructions tell us that we're going to change that column width to 30. So we made it wider, but it's still not really readable. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to select our sparkline group, which it's already selected. And we're going to change our height. So I'm going to pause this for just one quick second. Okay, so on letter B, it says we're going to select row 5 to 19. So I'm going to click those rows 5 to 19. And then I'm going to change my row height. So same thing, I'm going to go to cells format. I'm going to go to row height, and it's currently at 14.4. I'm going to change it to 30, which, doesn't that make this a little bit easier to read? Okay, well, we've still got a little bit of work to do. We're going to select our sparkline group. And if you click that N5 cell, it will automatically select the rest of your sparklines for you. We're going to click the sparkline color button. So this is on our sparkline tab up at the top. And then we're going to choose our sparkline color. And we're going to select light gray background to dark 25. That is the third column, the third row. Let's make sure that is darker 25. There we go. And so you can see now all of our spark lines are the same color. Well, now we're going to reselect them in case you unselected them like I did. We're going to select the high point box. So that's in our Sparkline tab and it's in our show box. So a little bit to the left, we're going to click on the high point and you can see that color coded some of our high points, but we don't want to make the high points red in here. We want to make them green. So we're going to click on marker color and we're going to choose high point and we're going to choose the green accent 6, which is last column of the first row. And so this color codes all of our high points in these months. It color codes them green. So visually, we can see real quick that, for example, the third month of this year was a high point, March. And then we've got two others that were high points, and that'd be August and September. So that's kind of how a Sparkline reads. Next, we're going to select cell N4, and then we're going to scroll down and we're going to also select with our control key 20 and 21. And we're going to click our fill color button, which is on our home tab. And we're going to choose the third column, second row, 1, 2, 3, second row of gray. So we're just doing a fill there to make our data match. And then this last step is something you've all done before. We are going to click that borders button and we're going to add outside borders for cells N5 to N19. So N5 all the way down to N19. We're going to go to our borders button and we're going to apply outside borders. And we can see our borders there. Then we're going to press Control Home and you have wrapped up your spreadsheet for Excel Pause and Practice 3. Good work, everybody. Don't forget there are images at the end of these pause and practices just so you can do a visual check of what your information looks like and you can kind of match it to those images in the text. All right, folks, good work. Don't forget to submit your final file of this pause and practice for Excel 3-3.